Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. I'm Brian Winnikins, and World Dairy Expo recently, and was walking around Expo and came across a pretty interesting organization that is here at Expo. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Thank you to our broadcast sponsors, including Synergy Co-op, AMPI, Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin, Compeer Financial, the Animal Wellness Center of Buffalo Valley, and Annabis Silo. And I'm with Kate Stringfield from the American Dairy Goat Association. Won't see no dairy goats at World Dairy Expo. They're not on the colored shavings. But we have the Dairy Goat Association represented here. They have a booth. They had a booth here at Expo. And Kate, thanks for joining us this morning. Well, I guess first you have a flyer that says, why dairy goats? So we'll start with that question. Why dairy goats?
Sure. Why dairy goats is a lot of people tend to use them as a homestead animal. So they're a smaller version of a cattle or a cow. For their home use, cheese, butter, milk. And then, the dairy goats have kind of fit into three different categories. You have your show people, you have your homestead people, and you have your commercial dairy goat people. Of course, Wisconsin is one of the leading commercial dairy goat states, and so we are second in milk and first in the number of animals within a state in the whole U.S. So dairy goats just tend to be a smaller version of your cattle.
So what's the number one state?
California.
Well, their goats aren't happier than ours, so we'll just keep going with that. But let's talk a little bit about the reasoning behind the commercial part of it. Are those folks using dairy goats? Where are they shipping to? Is it just used for cheese and specialty products, or is it something that is kind of like the fluid milk end is starting to really pick up?
Sure. I think the fluid end is starting to pick up. We do have a little small amount of fluid milk here in Wisconsin sold out of LeClaire Dairy. However, a majority of the milk in Wisconsin is sold for cheese into your creameries, Saputo being the biggest one.
What's the biggest challenge with dairy goats? I'm thinking it's you don't get a lot of milk, so you need a lot of goats.
Well, contrary to what you believe, goats actually are very good producers. So they tend to be on an average, about 1/10 of what a cattle would do, or a cow. So if you're looking at 10% of, say, a 100-pound Holstein, you're looking at a 10-pound goat. So that's slightly over a gallon of milk. So for a homestead, a gallon a day is quite a bit of milk, actually.
Talking with Kate Stringfield with the American Dairy Goat Association from World Dairy Expo. And so you have a booth here. So what I have to ask, what's some of the reaction when all the Brown Swiss people go by, or all the Holstein Association people go by? Do they stop and chat with you?
Sure, some of them do stop and chat. We tend to have people either be very interested or not interested, and kind of, they kind of poo-poo that goat idea. But we do have a fair amount of people that come that are surprised by the amount that a goat can produce, or surprised that we are one of the leading states, or, surprised that there even is an association. So we do a fair number of education on the differences between goats and cows, and but we do get a lot of, business traffic through here.
Talking with Kate Strickland with the American Dairy Goat Association this morning, as we had a chance to talk with Kate at World Dairy Expo. So for someone thinking about wanting to do this, what's the biggest challenge, or what do they need to think about?
A lot of the same things that you would with cattle. One of the biggest misconceptions is that goats will eat everything and anything, and that is entirely wrong. They're actually very picky eaters. They need to be managed similar to cattle, so there's not a whole lot of differences between them other than the amount of feed, or the type of feed is very similar. There are a few differences. And one of the biggest misconceptions is that they're easy keepers, and they're really not as easy as people tend to think. They're actually kind of a more highly managed animal when you're looking at the show aspect, or even, making sure you're getting good production. It's very similar to cattle.
Really? How so?
Well, their nutrients and their minerals and vitamins and all that are extremely calculated and balanced, and and the same within the dairy industry. You know, if you're what you put in is what you get out. So if you want a high milker, you need to manage her highly to get that amount of milk. But I don't need to scare off anybody either. They're a fun animal. They're very worth it. And you know, I personally show and am a commercial dairy, but I started out as a homesteader, so I've kind of gotten into all three of those aspects. And they all bring different challenges and you know your pros and your cons, and so that's one of them. You know, they're similar.
So you know, with the cattle industry, of course, there's the competition among the breeds. So do we have that same thing with dairy goats where, oh wait, this breed is better than that breed, or that breed is better than this breed, and there's a little bit of competition on that?
Of course, of course, of course. The newest, well, I shouldn't say the newest. We have a brand new breed called the Guernsey, and so that's we're not really seeing them in the show ring or anything in high numbers or anything yet. So I can't really speak a whole lot on them. The next newest would be the Nigerians, which is the mini, and they've exploded within the industry and even locally. There are a lot of Nigerian dwarfs, and the standard breeds are kind of, you know, oh, those are the Nigis, oh, those are the Nigis, you know, and we also have big competition of, you know, in between the breeds, of course, in a show, and who can have more numbers, and, you know, who has the best doe in show, etc. So yeah, of course, the competition's always fun.
So if folks would like more information on what they need to do, or you know, how they can maybe be part of the organization, how can they find out more?
Sure. On the website, American Dairy Goat Association, which is adga.org, has a multitude of information on how to become a member, how to connect with breeders within your local area. Wisconsin also has the WDGA.org website, so that would be something more local here.
It's Kate Stringfield with the American Dairy Goat Association. I'm Brian Winnikins on WRDN.